NBC, get yours.
Welcome back to Fast Money. Wall Street's love affair with all things crypto is picking up steam. So just how big is the crypto market? So big that the co-founder of Ripple, a leading digital currency, is now richer than Mark Zuckerberg. Our Bob Pisani is live at the NYSE breaking down the latest on the Bitcoin boom. Bob.
Hello, Melissa. It's changing. So how big is the cryptocurrency market? Well, it's getting bigger, but it's not because Bitcoin's getting bigger. Bitcoin may still be the king of the cryptocurrency hill, but it's been fairly quiet in the last few weeks, while the upstarts have made impressive gains in the past month and even this past week. So look at this. Ripple and Ethereum combined are now almost 85% of the market capitalization of Bitcoin. That's a huge change from a while ago. And the total market cap of the top 100 cryptocurrencies now roughly $686 billion. Whoo boy, that's a big jump from even a few months ago, but it's still small compared to the broader market. This is the way I like to look at it. So for example, the small cap Russell 2000 stock market is a market cap of about $2.5 trillion. So cryptocurrencies are only 1/4 the size of the small cap stock market, and it's way below the $25 trillion value for the S&P 500 and the roughly $38 trillion value of the U.S. bond market. It's even way below the value of all the gold in the world, which is currently maybe a little more than $7 trillion. So the big issue is this. How big will federal and state regulators allow these cryptocurrencies to become before they step in with even more regulation? Back to you, Melissa. My guess is you start seeing $2, $3, $4, $5 trillion valuations, that's going to be a trigger.
All right, Bob, thank you. Bob Pisani at the New York Stock Exchange. Well, Wall Street firm RBC is so bullish on the crypto craze that it is calling it a $10 trillion opportunity. Yeah, you heard me right, $10 trillion. Let's bring in the man behind that bold call, Mitch Steves of RBC Capital. He joins us now from San Francisco. Mitch, great to have you with us.
Hey, nice having me. Nice having me. Thank you.
$10 trillion is an eye-popping number. So can you kind of explain how you came up with that number? What percentage of that $10 trillion is cryptocurrencies, and how much of it is sort of the related ecosystem around blockchain and crypto?
So I think the vast majority is actually on the ecosystem. So what I'm trying to describe in that report is essentially creating a decentralized world computer. So I think what people misunderstand about the cryptocurrency space is it's not just a store of value, which I think you guys have done a very good job of covering, but it also allows you to secure the internet. So essentially right now we trust third-party providers such as iCloud or Dropbox to hold our storage and photos and things like that. But in the future, we'll be able to do this for free, essentially by using something like a file coin or a different type of coin, whatever it's going to be called. And so essentially that market, you're starting to approach IT spending. And so when I think about that market as well as the store value, which alone is already a $30 trillion TAM, if we include the amount of money that's held in overseas banking, we get to a very small number of 10 trillion, which is basically 33% of just the store value use case.
I think the example in your report about Dropbox is a very interesting one because most people can relate to that. The notion that Dropbox is centralized because anybody with access to the Dropbox servers actually has access to your data that you're storing on Dropbox, whether it be photos or files or what have you. And this could really decentralize it in that no longer will that person with access to that server have access to your information. How fast can we see this ramp? Because implicit in this call of this decentralized information is sort of a displacement of a lot of other companies and business models out there, like a Dropbox.
Right, exactly. So that's why you see a lot of companies not really interested in talking or investing in the space, because they're going to essentially become a node in the network in long term, right? So I think that my $10 trillion call is obviously a multi-year call it 10 to 15 years or something like that. And we'll see a lot of ups and downs as many of these decentralized applications will essentially be worthless. But when we think about the blockchain, at least the one thing that the bulls and bears can agree on is we have a $7 trillion or $700 billion market that has never been hacked. So what people are now doing is they're building on top of that network, and that increases the value tremendously because now we've built a new level of the internet. That's why they call it the Web 3.0 that will not be hackable. So now you are able to not only get rid of kind of the middleman in the center, but you're also able to monetize that through the coin network, essentially.
Hey, Mitch, it's Brian Kelly. So interesting report that you came out with today because Mark Zuckerberg came out today and talked about decentralized computing. How vulnerable is somebody like Facebook to this phenomenon, to a decentralized world computer?
I wouldn't say they're really vulnerable, right, because they have a different ecosystem, and that's covered by a different analyst at RBC. But I would say that the decentralized network in general is going to be a very big topic because you can essentially now have anybody have secure computing, right? So I think that's a very big topic. So a good example I give you from a social media perspective is Twitter, right? So we had a rogue employee take down the President of the United States Twitter account because he was upset when he left, right? So while that's funny and humorous to some people, we have to ask ourselves, why are we putting ourselves in that situation in the first place? So if we can get rid of the middleman in that case, now we've created a secure layer for everybody to get value out of.
Another part of your report is the whole mining aspect of it and the computer chip companies, the chip companies that specialize in these mining chips. But in terms of investing in publicly traded companies now, Mitch, are there ways to invest now, or is it simply too early? Is really the cryptocurrency itself the best pure play way?
So the best pure play way is certainly just getting involved in the cryptocurrency space, because at the end of the day, if you're going to invest in something related, you have to go the mining route. So AMD and NVIDIA chips are used to mine cryptocurrencies called Ethereum, Monero, Bitcoin Gold, not Bitcoin, and several other currencies, while an ASIC is being used to mine Bitcoin. So if you want to be very specific and try to get exposure to the mining aspect, there's definitely ways to do that. But from a public company perspective, the way we have to think about this in terms of the bigger picture is we're rebuilding the internet. So if we're rebuilding the internet, what does that mean for compute, for networking equipment, and for all these other technology devices that we have today? It means the demand is going to increase for that across the board.
What does it also mean for the companies like a Dropbox or equivalent publicly traded companies like a Dropbox? Because this is going to mean dislocation of these companies.
Yes, they're going to see significant competitive pressure now, because essentially people are going to decide, do I want my storage to be centralized or do I want it to be decentralized? And I think this is going to be a very big topic over the next several years, because now it seems like people are starting to understand the difference between protocols like an Ethereum or a Lisk or a EOS or a Cardano, and realize that that's not the same thing as the currency aspects like a Bitcoin or a Litecoin and things like that. So I think Wall Street's waking up to that. And so companies with centralized computing or centralized storage are going to have to adapt to the new ecosystem if they succeed in scaling.
Cloud companies,
sure, so cloud companies. Yeah, exactly. So cloud companies would definitely be impacted by this.
All right. Mitch, thank you. Fascinating report. Mitch Steves of RBC, $10 trillion opportunity for the ecosystem, including the cryptocurrencies.
Well, great job by Mitch, because what we're seeing unfolding before our eyes is not only the education of the broader investor into these aren't even subtleties, right, Brian? I mean, you have a massive difference between the platform themselves and obviously the underlying tokens themselves and how they actually have usage. So far we've been speculating in things that largely people are not actually utilizing. I mean, I would say 90% of the people that are investing in crypto in any form are probably nowhere near a transaction in crypto. And ultimately this is a concept, and so this really helps understand why these value chains are being created.
Yeah, I think what's also interesting is differentiating essentially the cryptos from the actual companies that have an actual platform. You look at Ethereum. Ethereum's an amazing company, probably the best one to own right now. But there are disrupting companies that are on the that are called cryptos, like a BlockTix, which are basically selling concert tickets that have authentication, which is amazing. So I look at those companies as big disruptors, in my opinion.
Right, and you think about all the other companies whose business models were built on centralized information.
So think about Google, right? I didn't understand this whole decentralized internet until I thought about it in this particular way. If I came to your house every day and looked at all the pictures in your house, walked out, and then the very next day sent a salesperson to your house and knocked on your door and said, hey, I saw you had a picture of fishing. Do you want to buy a fishing pole? You'd say that's insane, right? But with the internet and Google, we allow them to do that every single day. So this is a way that you don't have to do that. So I think in the longer run, Google could even be threatened.
Although Guy probably buys that fishing pole, right?
Yeah. And somebody goes to his house, too.
When you...
He bought a set of encyclopedias.
He's laughing because he knows he's actually laughing.
Because you bought one last night.
Yesterday, I knew it was going to snow. I figured, get ready for the spring.
Sweet laugh.
Right, to that point, Basic Attention is a company that is going to allow you to monetize, essentially, your value from from a marketing perspective, from an advertising perspective. Those are companies that will disrupt the Facebook or
Nice
Google
metaphor,
or what have you.
BK. I like that.
Thanks.
Yeah, that's a good metaphor.
Is this where BK makes this big announcement? That's
No, that's later on. Yeah.
Kudos to Steve Grasso, but talking about overstock when it was in the 20s, they get traded 72 today. I still, in my opinion, I think Chicago Mercantile Exchange, you asked me, is it a Bitcoin or cryptocurrency play? It's not, but that's the cherry on top for a very significant business, CME.
All right, still ahead, more Bitcoin. Our very own crypto baller here, BK, Brian Kelly, has a very special announcement to make. He's doing something he has never done before, and that includes his time in college. That's later in the show. Plus, retail stocks tanking today.